In this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to use PresSTORE backup or archives disk-based tape containers. Very commonly, we have questions about how this functionality works and how it can be used to do rotating backups or off-siting of data after data has been written to tape containers. So first off, PresSTORE backup is based on the idea of volumes and pools. Pools are collections of disk media or tape media. In this case, I've created a pool called rotating disk that we're going to use for this example, and you can see there are no containers in it right now at 0. There's no data free in it because we don't have anything associated. And then we've got volumes, and volumes are our disk containers or tape themselves, and you can see I don't have any associated with my rotating disk backup set yet. That's we haven't actually created any tapes. So the first thing I'm going to do, in this case, I've got 3 separate volumes, all named the same thing. These could be 3 physical drives, or they could even be 3 physical arrays. In this case, I'm just using volumes. And you can see one of them currently is mounted at /volumes VTL. If I click on that, it'll show that it's an empty array right now. There's nothing on this particular volume. So I'm going to create a new disk library at that location. So /volumes VTL, select it. I'm going to limit this to 4 gigabytes because I have a relatively small disk here. And I'm going to not label these right now. Hit apply. And you can see my disk library here has been created. If I go into inventory now, it's going to show that there are 2 slots available within the system. And if I go to label, it's going to show me those 2 slots that are unlabeled media. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to label these with my rotating disk pool. And we can pull up our job monitor and see that that job is done already. So you can see I've got a rotating disk 0001, rotating disk 0002. Those files are created. And if we go and look back in our folder now, we can see we've got 2 files that were created at /volumes VTL with those exact numbers. Now, here's how we're going to set up rotation within these containers. So I'm going to actually eject this volume. And after I've ejected, I'm going to go into disk utility and I'm going to mount my second partition here. And you'll notice that none of my other partitions are mounted. You'll notice that this comes back up at /volumes VTL. If I go back into PresSTORE now and do an inventory of my system, because what we've essentially done is ejected all of our tapes. If we go into our directory, we'll see that there's no data inside that directory right now. It's just empty again. I can inventory these slots. Inventory is complete. And now I can hit label. And you can see there's 2 more unused tapes within there because there's no data in there. I'm going to select a pool and do rotating disk. Hit label. Our monitor, we're already complete there. And now we'll see we've got disks 17 and 18. We had 15 and 16 with the first disk library. And now I'm going to do that final time, a third time here, by unmounting this volume and mounting our third one here that has no data on it. You can see. And I'm going to click on label. Whoops, I have to inventory first. And hit label, and you'll see there's 2 unlabeled slots in there. So now that that's complete, if we hop over to our pools, we'll see our rotating disk set now has 12 gigabytes available across 6 volumes. Now those 6 volumes are spread across 3 different disks. And if we look in our disk utility, we can see what those disks are. They're VTLs here, here, here. So 15 and 16 are stored on this volume. 17 and 18 are stored on this volume. 19 and 20 are stored on this volume. And if we look in our volumes list here, you can see the same thing. We can see that currently 19 and 20 are in slots 1 and 2 in our disk library 2, which was our rotating disk library. and the other ones are showing as offline. So now if we actually want to write data to that, we can create a backup plan. And for now, I'm just going to do a directory that I've got on my desktop called backup files. There's a couple of gigabytes of data in this folder. And we're just going to do fulls for that, no big deal. And we're going to select our rotating disk pool. I'm going to hit apply. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to run this backup job. And you can see it's running our backup right now. So now we've got a full backup. If we look in our volumes tab, you can see that there's 641 gigabytes of data that is on this particular disk slot. The other ones are free. If you look in our pool, you can see that we've got some data now in our disk pool. So if I were now to want to take that directory or that volume and move it off-site, I could very easily go in and eject the volume so it no longer shows up, mount my new volume, which shows up at the exact same location, /volumes VTL. I can now take this drive and move it off-site for safety and off-siting. And I could now run an inventory on my storage manager. Oops. And if we go back into our volumes now, we'll see that our unused disks are now in slots 1 and 2. So this data is offsite, and we can run another backup on a completely separate volume. So if we wanted to go back to our backup plan and write another backup, watch our job run. And now we've got a successful backup there. If I go into my Restore tab now for backup on this system, we can look at our index options and we can see that we've got our rotating plan and we've got 2 different cycles here. So I can look at our data that's offsite because that was on this cycle, and then I can look at the current backup cycle, which is the data that's online. If I look at our offsite one and I say I would like to restore this file, it's going to tell me that's a 20 megabyte file, but it's offline right now. So we know that that's offline. We have to go find that disk container 1009. Okay, not a problem. Let's eject our disk library. And mount this one. Go to our storage manager quickly and run an inventory. And now when we go back to restore, and we go into our index options and choose the one in the background, we can double click, find our file again, hit restore, and it's telling me it's online and ready to be restored. And if I hit start, it'll actually restore the file. And this will actually fail right now because I don't have it set to overwrite. That data is still there, but everything is working properly. So that's how disk-based loaders go. The other thing that's often confusing is how to eject a tape from a disk-based loader. So currently, if we look at our volumes, we can see that there's a rotating disk right now. It is in slot 1 and slot 2 of our library. That's 10019. So I can actually go into the Finder. I can make a new folder, someplace else, let's say on my desktop. And we're going to call this shelf. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this tape, which has got data on it, 10019, on the shelf. So I'm just going to simply copy it over. I'm going to remove it from this volume. And when I go now within my storage manager and run an inventory, you'll notice with underneath volumes now, I only have one tape that's online. I can actually set tape 19 to be locations, desktop shelf, just so I know where it is. And if I go and try to do that restore this time, it's going to look for my file, and it's going to tell me it's offline, and it's going to tell me the location is on my desktop/shelf. Okay, I could either insert that volume back in now to do the restore by simply copying it back into the VTL folder, or if I need to add more tapes to that VTL because I've outrun what I need to do, I can go into my storage manager, hit label, and you'll notice that it shows me that one disk is in there, but the other one is unused, and I can select a pool and label that tape. And if we hop back into my Finder now, you'll see I have a 21 directory there. I have a 20 directory there, or a file, I'm sorry. And if we go into our Volumes tab now, is another file available, 21. It's in slot 2 of Disk Library 2. So hopefully this helps you understand how disk-based tape libraries work and how disk containers work and how you can move data around.